Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Best day of the week.
Oh, look at you too.
We're all on the same page, you know.
Well, not all of us, because only Will and I are wearing our Christmas sweaters.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie and I have kids, and that will be coming very soon. So.
Jamie's got his Christmas mug.
Dinosaur.
Yeah. Godzilla.
Godzilla. You can tell Brandy definitely doesn't have sons. She doesn't know the difference between Godzilla and dinosaurs. Crazy.
No, I'm sorry. They seem very similar.
Very different, though. One's a giant lizard.
That's fair. I
True.
mean,
they're both giant lizards. First of all, I did something this weekend, but I did it courtesy of Jamie Lane. Yep. Took the family up to North Georgia, where Jamie's got his beautiful house. And there is so much to do up there. I feel like we could have spent a week and still not kind of gotten all of the stuff done that there is to do in beautiful North Georgia. And on the drive home, my 5-year-old asked me if when he's older, if he could buy the house when it's for sale. So, Amy, if you're looking for a seller in 20 to 30 years, then no guy.
Well, glad you guys enjoyed your time up there.
Loved it.
Yeah.
How's the rest of the Jamie's lane change been? Has it been going pretty well? Have you had any other bad guests check in like Michael, or how's that going?
No, it's been smooth sailing so far, and no one's died, so that's good. No bad reviews. Yeah, and we're rocking and rolling. Got our first booking through booking.com for New Year's. So doing the multi-channel thing. We got
international.
Hey, Jamie, how are you listing on booking.com? That's insane. How would you be able to list on booking.com with one unit?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing using a PMS like uplisting and going multi-channel. Like,
what's that called again? Uplisting?
Are we getting paid for that sponsorship? Or
it is part of today's episode and our predictions that more consolidation would happen. And uplisting was one of the first ones that was announced this year. So kudos to AirDNA.
Yeah.
You made it. Part of the predictions.
It's been a fun one.
Well, let's kind of jump into our predictions. So, we started off the year trying to see into the future. So what was our craziest prediction of the year? Will?
I think Will takes the cake on saying that there's going to be a lot more propco opco structures.
How about the Uber one? I think Uber is a little bit more interesting than propco opcos, but I'm down to go either way. Whatever you guys want.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the Uber one, it just like we had talk about Uber. So Will's prediction was that Uber will undergo major changes and integrate more with travel and like a hospitality tool. And so there was that like kerfuffle about the Expedia buyout, but that was just kind of a, media 1 week headline thing.
I think it's going to come back. I think it will. That's my next prediction.
I will take a prediction, maybe call it 2 years out, though, that was a bellwether to see how people would react to travel, to Uber getting in, deeper long tail travel. I would actually bet that they buy Hopper and not Expedia. So I'll call that for a 2026 prediction. market.
Okay,
All
we'll
right,
start
all
that
right.
Google Doc next.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I guess Propco Opcos was a little bit bold. Especially in a market that had really high interest rates.
Yeah. So
So
Will's prediction was Propco Opco models will become more prevalent, especially in the unique stays market. And initially, they will attract many, but only the strong will succeed. So there was actually news last week of a Propco Opco teaming up with Marriott, Trailborn. Right now, I think they only have 2, maybe 3 hotels open, more on the hotel side than short-term rentals, but still, I wouldn't mark that one totally to a 0. Will a lot of the other opportunities for it to fly were definitely curtailed by interest rates and generally the funding environment writ large. So not a total loss, but I wouldn't mark that as a W.
well, how about this? Who had the most generic prediction of the year?
Well, I would also say I not only generic, but also the most accurate. So my prediction was we'll see more mergers, acquisitions, company closures, especially amongst venture-backed businesses. And one of the first things announced last year was AirDNA's acquisition of Uplisting. From what I gather, that's been an excellent acquisition and seems to be integrating nicely. The other one that also happened towards the front end of last year was Front Desk, one of the last big urban operators still standing, sans Brandy and Sonder. And so they closed, I think that was announced in February or something, early Q1. But the rest of them have been acquisitions and mergers. So within the short-term rentals, the big news was, of course, AirDNA and Uplisting, Guesty buying Rentals United, Host and Stay over in the UK. Shout out to Dale. They made 5 acquisitions this year, so they're growing like crazy. And then we saw some smaller acquisitions. So Touch Stay was acquired by iTrinity. Trash Caddies acquired Rage and Raccoon. And Travel AI bought Kasai's digital assets. So I guess they were one of the urban operators that went belly up in 23, but they had some good digital assets that were scooped up. Getting into the hotel side, there were some pretty great acquisitions. Hilton bought Graduate, and they also partnered with SLH for distribution. Hyatt announced the acquisition of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which played in kind of luxury distribution, a niche OTA. And Marriott saved Sonder, and then as of last week, bought Postcard Cabins. So we've seen a lot more of these distribution deals happen amongst the major flags, which is interesting. They're becoming more and more OTA like, where I think they want to diversify their inventory subset from being city center big box hotels to where people can earn and burn their points with unique stays like at a Postcard Cabins or with a family staying in a Sonder in a city versus in a traditional Marriott 4-wall box. So call it a cop out, but that was a lot to review this year.
Look, I will say last year,
I know I'm missing some things.
Yes, I was gonna say last year I kind of gave you crap for submitting your video that was 2 minutes of you saying there's gonna be more mergers and acquisitions. I was like, this is the most generic, basic post comment that Michael could make, but then you went down the line, and I'm like, all right, he did have quite it was a great prediction, obviously. So
a lot happened.
Yeah, a lot happened.
Well, in the vein of some of those shutdowns, my prediction was that it was going to be a tough year for urban short-term rental operators. And as you mentioned, we kind of started off the year with Front Desk shutting down, that was honestly, love Jesse and that team. And it's also, there's only a few of us left. So you never really like to see someone like a great company like that go out, but it is kind of the sign. And I was a bit more aggressive on Sonder downsizing significantly. Did not see the Marriott play coming in, but so they did actually release some of their 2024 financials, but hid them underneath 2023 on their website. And if you see, like, they do not have a lot of cash on hand, and they still have very significant lease liabilities. So, and one of their a quote from the from those financial documents is management has substantial doubt about the company's ability to continue as a going concern for at least 1 year. So it is, when was that? This was published in November, and this is her up to June. So through June financials. And so this Marriott deal is like a lifeline, but I mean, they have to shed a lot of units, even probably buildings that are doing well revenue wise, but are probably incredibly expensive. So that will probably be one of my predictions into next year, that there's going to be some significant restructuring of that company.
Fire sale hasn't quite yet happened.
No, Marriott definitely gave them a little bit of an extension.
So do we give Brandy a full point for that prediction or a half point for that prediction? Are we going all in?
They didn't shed all the units, but it was a tough year for urban. So
yeah,
I'll
give her a full point.
Three quarters of a point.
Three quarters. What?
Brutal.
Yeah, and I had a prediction in a similar vein as Brandy, that I thought urban multifamily demand would be coming back. And I just pulled the numbers to see how it did in 2024. And it was up 1%.
It's back, baby.
We talked about how it was still down 20% compared to 2019. So I'm going to give myself an F on that one.
Hey, that's still good.
I love the enthusiasm and the optimism.
Yeah. But like we had talked about international travel coming back. The dollar strengthened again this year compared to last. So and we also had a very tough regulatory environment in quite a few of the urban markets. Brandy, you guys are in New Orleans. New Orleans had a really tough year.
Yep. It's about to get more. They're like, conveniently after Super Bowl and Mardi Gras, there's going to be a crackdown. It's like, how just to get those yummy tax dollars, and then we're going to start enforcing rules. Yeah.
And then New York was a really tough year. They lost 87% of their short-term rental listings. Hasn't been a great regulatory environment in urban markets.
So if you pull New York out of it, how was data? I mean,
it's still bad. Yeah.
If there was growth of 1% and New York was a large chunk of a decline, still bad. Okay.
Still bad. Yeah. Even without, and there's a handful of different markets that had falling listing counts. So it wasn't just New York. And New York was the biggest, but you still saw like San Jose, Palo Alto down, Philadelphia down, Kansas City down. So like Atlanta down, Flagstaff down, Phoenix down. Like there were a lot of markets that were negative last year for supply.
Would you think that the Phoenix, that might be particularly interesting because so many people got into the game before Super Bowl and oversaturated the market. So now you're just seeing those units actually return to long-term.
Yeah, and not necessarily long-term, but yeah, people just brought on supply for the Super Bowl and then it comes off the year after. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, I mean, we would expect a market like Philadelphia to be down, or not Philadelphia, Phoenix to be down, but a market like Atlanta that has been a relatively strong market, and again, regulatory environment has been tough. So
fun times for urban operators.
Yeah.
Without getting into a predictions episode, are we on a similar trajectory or on the urban side?
I wouldn't bet. I'm not betting 2025 is going to be the year of urban demand coming back. I can promise you that.
You would not bet?
No.
Okay.
Especially among the trend that we're just seeing among differentiation of like where short-term rentals are winning today versus hotels. It's larger homes. It's differentiated, unique type supply, like going in and competing on studio 1-bedroom rentals and multifamily buildings in urban areas. Like, and the rental arbitrage play isn't working as a business model. So you've got to do unique or creative ways to sort of get buildings into your in units into your system. Like it's just a tougher environment to grow supply, and then even tougher to compete on price and with hotels and everything that they sort of offer in competition. So
is there going to be a supply contraction?
Right now we're in a supply contraction. Urban's down. Without New York, it's flat. So if I had to guess, I'd bet it's flat to slightly up, but it's not going to be a growth environment, I don't think, going forward.
Honestly, though, that's not terrible if you're an existing operator who doesn't want more supply in their markets.
Exactly.
And so, so if you're a good operator that you have all your permits and everything done, this could actually be great for you.
It's great for everyone but the OTAs.
Yeah,
really.
And
I'm not really concerned about their health right now.
A wild card out there is like, let's say the Airbnb friendly building program really takes off. Like there's no shortage of multifamily buildings right now that have come and delivered in the past 2 years that are having trouble filling their units. Like look at sort of the trends in multifamily right now and apartments, like its rates are down and vacancies are up. Like, and you would think that short-term rentals could be an opportunity for them to fill their units, but I don't get a sense right now that they're struggling enough where they're being proactive and trying to find a way to fill vacancy that way.
No, they'll just rather give like a 5-month abatement, 5 months free, but still charge your regular room rate so they can advertise that. There's a lot of that going on.
5 months free. That's pretty good.
That was me being hyperbolic, but
so I can get an apartment in Miami for 5 months free. That's
count me in. I'll move in tomorrow. See you there.
Not quite that.
Not bad.
Well, speaking of Airbnb, we kind of, I think Jamie and I both had predictions about the ecosystem and the vendor platform. And I think we both hit that nail right on the head. Just continuing to make different products and, try to keep people just within their ecosystem, especially with like the co-hosting, the non-property management service that they're offering. So I think we'll just continue to see more of that. What do you think, Jamie?
Yeah. And I think this is phase 1 of their sort of marketplace offering. And the easiest one you'd think to be, and you've got hosts on your platform, offer them services and keep those hosts in the platform, making it easier for them to host and keep. And I see it as a retention play. Like if you've got a host that's about to churn, like, hey, what's most what's hardest for you in hosting? Like we've got someone that could cover that right next door. Like connect with them. They can take 5%, 10%, 20% and host your property for you. Like, I don't think we have enough time and data yet to know how it's working, but it could, I think, be a great play for them. And we think that they're going to launch further into the marketplace of services for guests, additional services for hosts. So we'll see what happens in 2025 there.
My question for you guys, do you think it's services or like technical products within the app that they're going to make for hosts to make it more vendor kind of ecosystem-esque, where they try to basically keep you in the platform longer for more, basically? Do you think it's going to be a service or natural product feature inside?
For me, it's the hardest part of managing homes is the service side. Like there's plenty of tech out there, and like automating or having an integration with Schlage is like literally the most basic thing about renting out a house as you could possibly get. But we've seen vendors pop up like Well and Good taking care of cleaning, like trash caddies, taking out trash. The more services side of things is the harder side. And so the marketplace of not just tech vendors, but also human vendors is a valuable thing for owners. Like, I mean, Jamie, your cabin is out there, right? You're driving for 15 minutes with no cell service. So how do you get a cleaner that's, when you're in a remote part of the country? I'm sure that took quite a bit of time to source, and hopefully you haven't had much turnover there, but
I actually, I'm not a sponsor, but I used Turnover Airbnb, and listed it, got 10 bids within a day.
wow.
I went through 2 different cleaners, and first one wasn't great. Second one has been awesome, and she's been crushing it. So, like, knock
Beautiful.
on wood, it's been way easier than I expected to find a good cleaner.
Jamie,
So
next time give us a heads up so we could bleep out the company name, just to make sure we don't give any free advertising here.
So a marketplace is the way to go. And that shows Airbnb could have the power to do that at scale on a massive, massive level across the globe, really. But it's not just that, it's maintenance, it's, hot tub repair people, it's, all the little nooks and crannies of the space. So while the tech side is probably easiest for Airbnb to roll out and integrate, it's, probably step one. Hopefully they want to go more downstream, but the more downstream you go, the more liability. Oh, my cleaner didn't show up. Airbnb, it's your fault. So they might avoid that.
Yeah, that was my comment, is that, the services side is definitely probably the most helpful, but think about just building that out in one city. Like, to build that out even in a state, in a country, around the world, is going to be so incredibly complex. And then as soon as people don't show up, or they do a bad job, or someone steals something or whatever, I think that will be very difficult to roll out. But I do think that Airbnb's biggest problem, maybe not in the next year, but in the coming years, is going to be that retention, as it becomes increasingly more difficult and costly to operate these, especially if you just have a couple one-offs. So it'll be interesting to see. And like, if you're just relying on Airbnb for revenue, eventually people are going to become wise to the fact that, like, you should have at least a couple of other channels to help fill those gaps.
Yeah. And Brian was asked that question of, like, all right, you've helped monetize people's number one asset, which is their home. What asset are you going to try to help them monetize next? And his answer was their time. So clearly they want to move into services. They want to be able to offer all sorts of services, as if, and I've got this asset of my home. The next biggest pain point is how to manage it, how to get all these things done. I know I don't have the time. Drove up to the house just before Michael came up to fix a few things in the property, get it perfect for his stay. But I wish I wasn't doing that and had a bigger team up there, and I still need to find to do a lot of things that you just can't expect a cleaner to be doing at the property.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's interesting because it's like, I don't know. I've had the opinion that we haven't found, like, on the vendor side at least, we haven't found products or companies, or I guess you can call them mostly products, that are super sticky. And I think even with Airbnb, as they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, they're even finding a harder time to stay stickier, because, like you said, Michael, that retention piece is going to be so important for them, on top of, obviously adding AI and all these other business items that they're going to add into their P&L. So I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see how something that was so, like, consumable from a big consumer brand type standpoint, to see if they can keep their stickiness as they grow.
One interesting point about stickiness is that Superhost, which has been Airbnb's biggest thing, now we noticed this, like, last week. If, at least when you're searching in Miami, like, it's not an option to search by Superhost. Like that's not one of the badges anymore, or like the filters. It's like guest favorite or luxe or rare find, that kind of stuff. So that has like quietly just like, obviously people are still getting that, but I found that really interesting that this thing that they just like jam down your throats, that your like listings value, your revenue, everything was predicated upon just like, at least I don't know if it's just certain markets, but has just kind of like slowly sloughed off to the side. And I think your host probably, if someone scrolls all the way down, you can see like, oh, this person is a super host, but the properties are being advertised by these other badges.
Yeah. The hardest part of a marketplace is keeping it balanced, and Airbnb's big push over the past 12, 18 months was supply, supply, supply. And that just to a large extent has worked for them, but for all of the owners and operators, it hasn't, because demand hasn't kept up with that supply. So pretty much everybody is having and Jamie, you can fact check me, is having a worse year for growth than years past because of too much supply. So at some point, their supply is going to plateau or even fall off a cliff because the demand hasn't kept up and it's not making enough money. It's cheaper just to flip to long term or to sell the house or whatever. So that said, Brandy, I don't want to skip one of your second sentences in a prediction that Vrbo risks fading away unless it improves its onboarding and distribution tech. So Vrbo did, I guess, at some point this year, fix a lot of their technical debt that they've been working on for years. And Jamie, a lot of the data that you've talked about on the show is that it's really helping and going in the right direction. So any insight there additionally that you can share?
I know on Vrbo, they definitely stopped the bleeding and they're back to growth. I would, having just gone through the onboarding process onto Vrbo, I would echo Brandy's sentiment though on a really challenging process to onboard even a single listing onto their platform. And I've heard rumors that they've got some big changes coming for 2025 to make that more efficient, but man, it's been a tough one.
It's really shocking to me because we had so many problems 2 years ago getting our listings when we migrated to Guesty. And so it's just, I kind of find it, I know that obviously the bigger the company, and this is a publicly traded company, the harder it is to turn the ship around. But part of me finds it kind of inexcusable that like the main way you increase your revenue by adding these new properties, it's taking years and years and years. Because obviously when I was doing it 2 years ago, that wasn't like the first time they were having problems. But so hopefully they do get their act together, because it's just, if you know it's going to be painful, you're just less likely to do it, but on the other side, I will say that their marketing campaigns are everywhere. So hopefully they're seeing like some returns on that. I know they've had the bigger push into like urban markets. I mean, they're still one of the smallest OTAs that we have. But it's like, at least they're kind of back on the offensive. They just have a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah, totally agree. Lots of ground to make up. Good thing we're good friends with them over at Vrbo. So shout out to the team. We'll obviously have more updates in the future next year for the stuff that they're doing. But one of the things I've been kind of saying for a while, and this is my last comment is I kind of think the industry is broken in the way we've been doing things. It's so far behind into the way we need to do things, and we can make things so much more efficient and effective. So I agree. The onboarding process with these big major companies should not be the way it is, because they're huge. They should have an easy onboarding process for 1 or 100 properties. It doesn't matter.
It's the first
we don't need to live in chaos anymore.
So before we wrap up, things that weren't in the bingo cards this year. Well, in Good Morning Coffee, we did not anticipate launching coffee this year, but here we are. We've sold over 1,000 bags already. So off to a good start.
Been incredible.
We also didn't predict loyalty as big of a push as it's been. And we also didn't predict Trudeau. blasting Airbnb like he did a week or two back, saying that it's causing a massive shortage of housing supply in Canada. So I don't know how I feel about that one. A a nation state leader going after someone in our industry, as much as people bash Airbnb, that's off limits. It's like your brother. We can make fun of him, but you can't, Justin.
Very well said. Well, my last question for the group, since we're just on the mark, and since it's our last episode of the year, I figure we can go a couple minutes over. What was the biggest surprise out of all the news and stories we've covered all year? And for the listeners, I'll give everyone on the pod a couple of seconds to think about this. But for all the listeners, if you want to hear what our predictions are going to be for next year, 2025, you could tune in January. So that way you could hear us talk about what we're going to think about or see in the next year. But anyways, biggest surprise, biggest story of the year that you feel like was like, damn, really, that was a big one. That was a big one.
I'll go first. It might not be the biggest story of the year, but for me, it was the biggest surprise for me. And that was the Marriott Sonder deal. Mostly because, we've just obviously as another urban operator, like very closely following Sonder. And I'm not surprised that Marriott is like trying to shore up their apartment inventory, but I was surprised that like Sonder got a lifeline from Marriott. So still waiting to see how that goes next year. But yeah, that took me by surprise.
Yeah, I would say, first of all, that one's a really good one, Brandy. And the fact that the major hotel flags are becoming more like OTAs. But in a similar vein, a lot of the credit card companies are getting more and more involved in the short-term rental space. So we saw Capital One and Amex also, or both, launch semblances of short-term rental distribution, point redemption plays within their credit cards. So that one, it's great. That means the demand is somewhat becoming a commodity, which is good and bad. It's definitely becoming more mainstream, and people are seeking it out. So the credit cards are trying to find ways for people to burn their points.
Yeah. I'll say for me, it was just, I'm going to kind of ride on Brandy's, was that it was the bigger shocker for me to see the Sonder story because of how much negative stories we were covering before, like weeks before, like even the week before. It was like, oh, yep, Sonder's barely going to make it. I bet they won't make it till October. Boom. Marriott deal. You're like, what the hell? Like it didn't go from quiet to, deal. It went from, they're not doing good to like, they're back. So it was a 180 of where I thought they're going to go. So that was a big shocker. But then from the vendor standpoint, Guesty acquiring Rentals United was my story that I was excited about, because it's the proper consolidation that I think the industry should see. I don't believe channel managers and OTA should be separate. So I'm glad that they brought that in.
My biggest surprise is that there's actually companies like in the AI space that are seeing adoption and growth. Like the fact that Boom won people's favorite at DARM and Bestie AI, and Sam was up on the main stage with Simon talking about like the growth that they're seeing and adoption. I did not expect, I'm definitely on the AI train that we're going to see great benefits, but I didn't expect companies to be making big waves already in 2024.
It went mainstream fast.
Yeah.
Very quick. Why do you think that is?
Oh, sorry. Go. I was going to say Boom is one that is really interesting to me. I had kind of heard whispers about them, and then at the end of the year, they were kind of front and center, which I just find really interesting. It'll be interesting to see who chooses to just migration is just such an enormous pain. So it'll be interesting to see who their first big cohort of customers are, because I don't think anyone's going to make that switch until it's tried and tested.
For sure.
Is Guesty going to try and buy them before they become too big?
Maybe.
Wait. Yeah,
We'll see.
you'll have to wait till our January episode of predictions.
I was going to say, wait for our predictions episode next year. Awesome. This has been fun. I always love our end of the year, beginning of the year episodes. Are super casual and relaxed and fun. So exciting times. You guys got anything planned for the new year? Like New Year's Eve type stuff or?
Yeah, I'll be in New Orleans.
There we go.
Yeah, I actually haven't been to New Orleans for like any like major holidays, so I think it'll be fun. I forgot how much colder. I think it's because it's still in the South that it's going to be like temperate, and it's probably going to be in like the 30s or 20s. So,
and it's a wet cold.
And yeah, you know, we love that.
Yeah, I'll definitely be in bed for New Year's Eve. That's for sure. I can't make too many more predictions through the holidays, but that's one that I feel pretty safe on.
Bed by 10.
Love it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jamie, how about you?
We'll be spending the holidays up at the cabin, taking a little hit on revenue to use it with the family, but then we'll be renting it out on New Year's, and New Year's will be probably asleep by 10. Yeah, similar to kids are still gonna wake up at 6. Like, can't get around that.
Not worth it. It's just not worth staying up till 1 or 2 and waking up.
Well, while I'm dancing the night away at Decadence here in Denver, I will be thinking of you guys while I'm going to bed at 3 and you're probably just getting ready to wake up.
This Oliver from Wheelhouse is coming with you, right?
What'd you say?
Oliver from Wheelhouse is coming with you now, right?
He actually is. Yeah, I sent him a link on Thursday last week, and he bought his ticket. So we're VIP, baby. We're going to the VIP area. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Well, this episode is sponsored by Space in Miami, where Brandy will be.
No, you know, I'll probably be just like clinking a glass of champagne and then immediately going to bed. I do try to stay up for New Year's.
Something tells me that's not going to be.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I love it. Well, as Terry said, it has been a huge year for the show. So I guess as our final sign off to all the listeners, the live viewers, the amazing followers, friends, family, colleagues, coworkers, and amazing industry experts that tune into the show every week, we thank you so much for making our 2024 year spectacular, amazing, fun, impactful, amazing, just phenomenal. But seriously, super love doing the show with you guys. Thank you for all the people that tune in. It really does make the show super special, as we're super excited for what we have in store for next year. More coffee, more retreats, and of course, more podcast and industry news. So we'll see you guys all again in 2025.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Logify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.